To announce that I will nominate Judge Clarence Thomas to serve as Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
You've indicated that you have no desire or willingness, and I've agreed that to go into other aspects than those that have been alleged.
Let's go police the world!
America.
4 people close to the committee say several members want to subpoena conservative activist Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. At issue are 29 text messages that seem to show Thomas pressing then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to find ways to overturn the 2020 election and keep President Trump in office. In one text, she writes, quote, "Make a plan, release the Kraken, and save us from the left taking America down."
Virginia Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, texted Mark Meadows, then White House Chief of Staff to President Donald Trump, 29 times. There were 29 text messages exchanged between Meadows and Ginny Thomas in the weeks and days after the 2020 election. The messages are stunning in their content. They're part of more than 2,300 messages obtained by the House January 6th Select Committee investigating the attack on the Capitol. And I'd just like to get into some of the details here because this news is significant. These are text messages that have been obtained by the January 6th Committee. We have confirmed them, reviewed them at CBS News, working with the Washington Post. We've also talked to 5 people familiar with the messages, who have seen the messages, are aware of them, the dates, the content. And what you really see in these 29 messages, an exchange that went from the days after the November election all the way through January 2021.
I don't like that shit, for sure. I don't like that shit.
Man, you see sitting on your screen right now, well, that's Judge Clarence Thomas. And Judge Clarence Thomas, believe it or not, was nominated to the Supreme Court by former President George Bush Sr. And later on will be questioned by this man, the Judiciary Clearance, now current President Joe Biden. Jeannie, you got a lot of questions to answer, old gal. It's why you came up against the United States and said that, well, President Trump should still be in the White House. Now, I'm not a player of either or side, but I will say this. Well,
fight. The crew is very small. We're well planned. I believe they could be stronger.
3 can't go against the whole crew. The rest of you are niggas. Born and bred slaves. Niggas ain't got no stomach for a fight. Not a damn one.
Which brings us here.
From the very beginning of this incredible professional journey, none of this would have been possible. We met in college more than 3 decades ago, and since then, he's been the best husband, father, and friend I could ever imagine. Patrick, I love you. I'm so looking forward to seeing what each of you chooses to do with your amazing lives in this incredible country. I love you so much.
And as once part of the Judiciary Committee, he is now ushering in Kentanji Jackson, just as he did Clarence Thomas. Now, many of y'all might be asking me, what's the problem? I have no problem. But one thing I want to point out is Judge Clarence Thomas and Kentanji Jackson both have white spouses. Now, is this something that was paramount to them being chose? I don't know. But it seems weirdly mirrored from 30 years back when Clarence Thomas first took the steps as a Supreme Court Justice and remained there for the past 30 years as being the only black Supreme Court Justice up there. The only other minority would be that of Justice Sotomayor, who I believe is either Mexican or something. They're the only 2 that represent minorities as far as the Supreme Court goes. Now, you heard me mention that Joe Biden ushered in Clarence Thomas when he was part of the Judiciary Committee back in, I believe that was early 90s, somewhere around there. And as you can see, he was the one that ushered in Kentanji Jackson here. And regardless of Kentanji Jackson having a white husband, Patrick Jackson, I think that this guy really loves her. He's been with her for over 30 years. They have 2 kids together, whatever the case may be. But every time I see Kentanji Jackson, it's almost like she always has a sea of white people around her versus minorities, as you can see in the pictures here. Now, when I say the thing about white spouse, one thing that's funny here is I think they were trying to get rid of Clarence Thomas because he's now 73 years old. First, they put in the media that he was sick. And just recently, after the hearings were over, he was released from the hospital, as you can see right here, right when the hearings were over on Friday. More importantly enough, his wife, Jeannie.
Text between Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, her name is Virginia, conservative activist who goes by Jenny, and Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows document her attempts to help guide President Trump's strategy to overturn the 2020 election.
Now, old Jeannie, which is Clarence Thomas's wife, many of y'all don't know, she hails on the spectrum of being conservative, as Clarence Thomas with Bob Dole, and again with Joe Biden, opposite sides of the pillar. And with that being said, it would look like they would try to, just as they attempted to do with Clarence Thomas, elect someone like Kentanji Brown, because the pure simple fact, well, she will obey. And that's what this game is all about. And the reason that Lindsey Graham, as you can see by that picture demonstrated, the reason Lindsey Graham questioned her so deeply, I believe, and many of the other senators did so deeply, was because of the actions of Jeannie Thomas. I believe that the White House and White House staff knew about this months ago, if not a year ago, about those emails that transpired that Jeannie sent out in, well, an effort to try to keep Donald Trump in the White House. And once again, you got to say, America, fuck yeah! Come out again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America, fuck yeah!
Senator, I would like to start by saying unequivocally, uncategorically, that I deny each and every single allegation against me today that suggested in any way that I had conversations of a sexual nature or about pornographic material with Anita Hill.
Have indicated that you have no desire or willingness, and I've agreed that to go into other aspects than those that have been alleged.
And after his appointment by then President George Bush Sr., and as well as a little support from Joe Biden, as you can see right there, Clarence Thomas had a little problem that popped up during that appointment, which was Anita Hill.
To announce that I will nominate Judge Clarence Thomas to serve as Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
And for many of y'all that weren't alive at the time, Anita Hill was a black woman who had accused Judge Clarence Thomas of some sexual allegations, not too specific, but nevertheless still accused. And for that, the Judiciary Committee decided to have a set of hearings in the matter of Clarence Thomas and his appointment.
Y'all watching? Mary Jo, we have a big rehearsal tonight, and if we stay mad about Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill, we'll never remember our lines.
Now, don't you worry. Old Clarence Thomas, he saw his way through that one. And he made it to his appointment and became a Supreme Court justice. And now at 73 years old, he has a litany of different views as far as is concerned the constituency of the White House and those surrounding them as senators and such forth. Mind you, there's a picture of him of Bob Dole and Joe Biden back then. His wife, Jeannie, on the other hand, has held her conservative views very strongly throughout the years. And what particularly becomes of interest to me is during the proceedings and the accusations against Clarence Thomas way back then with his involvement with Anita Hill, somehow or another this woman stuck behind him. And some people may say she didn't believe Anita Hill either, which is kind of...
The most embarrassing of all the incidences that you have alleged?
I think the one that was the most embarrassing was his discussion of pornography involving these women with large breasts.
I do not believe that Professor Anita Hill should be left to stand alone without being heard.
Was nominated. On March 18th, the Standing Committee voted unanimously that Judge Jackson earned our highest rating, well qualified for an appointment to the Supreme Court.
More stunned by the reaction of the Senate.
All we've heard for 103 days is about a most remarkable man, and nobody but you has come forward.
I can't prove it, but being the fact that he was appointed by George Bush Sr., let's just say clearly it's easy to say that he may have gotten a pass.
To announce that I will nominate Judge Clarence Thomas to serve as Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
And that boy got a pass, rightfully so. Yes, I call him a boy. See, that old boy made sure that he did everything that he was told for the past 30 plus years, adequately as he should.
America, fuck yeah! Come out again to save the motherfucking day, yeah!
Now, through all the hoopla that we've had for the past, well, let's say week, trying to confirm this woman and many of Republican senators saying that they don't want her in there, I think one of the prime examples of not thinking fully and thinking that you're fully assimilated because of your position and a job or whatever the case may be, somehow or another equates to society and how they view you, including that would be being married to a white spouse. Many people make this mistake and they think because they are now interracially involved, and this goes for brown people in general. I've seen Indian women do this, I've seen Asian women do this, I've seen black women do this, and I've seen Latino women do this. And the men as well. As soon as they get a white spouse, they somehow or another think that they are fully assimilated within the paradigm of that society. And I can tell for most of you, it really comes down to brown nosing. And that's what I think Kentanji has done. I think Kentanji, even though as accomplished as she may appear, I think she's done a lot of brown nosing. I think she set herself up in a position where dating this white spouse of her and having half white kids and centering herself around white people all the time or whatever, and a degree of trying to get a position in life that would fulfill her ambitions. Fulfilling her ambitions, personal, or whether they may be of those of her parents, and then just wanting to see their daughter prosper, whatever the case may be. I don't trust Kentanji because, like, I know of many people that are familiar with the realm of the political field, and I make a difference here because I say not only do most people that give their opinions on what's going on with Kentanji and with the sentencing hearings and how they were, the appointment hearings and how they were handled and the questioning by Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz or whatever, what many people didn't know because of their lack of history of knowing the Judiciary Committee, which Joe Biden once sat on when the time had came not only for the hearings with Anita Hill, but also in appointing him fully during the hearings. This happened simultaneously, basically. And it was held off for 100 and I believe 3 days or 10, 20, 30 days or whatever until Judge Clarence Thomas could get appointed because of the accusations of Anita Hill. And I remember this time because I was probably in middle school around, I think I was like in middle school around the time that this actually took place in America. And I remember everybody having their jokes about it, being shocked or whatever. This is before the internet was heavy. This is before screenshots were heavy, everything like that. So this is a different time period. And I remember people not believing in Anita Hill. And I remember certain senators coming out, including Joe Biden, including Bob Dole, including a whole bunch of the old guard of the good old boys, because that's where Joe Biden comes from. He comes from that old guard of good old boys. More perfectly, the Dixiecrats, which were most people are American and have deep American history here know, were part of a separatist group of Democrats that didn't even want African Americans or Latinos in their party. Now, you don't have to believe me, you can look this up. In fact, Joe Biden has one famous quote that he put out: if his kids went to school with minority kids, it would become a racial zoo. Now, that quote's still available. It's available from different media. Even the clip when it was on the paper back in the 1970s is there for you to read and embellish. Kentanji is nothing but a pawn in a larger game, and she doesn't even realize it. And she will be used, she will be abused to get people's political agendas by. And I think that's what Senators Lindsey Graham and many others that don't want to vote for her see. They see the same problem that's going on with Jeannie Thompson, which is Clarence Thompson's wife, Judge Clarence Thomas's wife, that he's been married to for 30 years. And her ambitions, it seems, seemingly to separate herself from the rest of society when the president is elected and put into place in power. Now, I don't fall on any one of those diagrams as far as supporting Trump or supporting Biden. I think both of them have their flaws. But one thing I will say is, if you don't know how to play political chess, stay out of the conversation. Because many of y'all that have your comments and they're supporting this woman based on the fact that she looks like you have no idea what this woman and what is expected of this woman once she is appointed the seat. And you will find out there will be many things that she does that you won't agree with, and you will mutter back to the time when you supported her. Just like that little girl that y'all had during the Olympics. Y'all all went back to support her, and then when she said something you didn't say, you're like, oh, come on now. You see how that works? So Kentanji Jackson, there's a possibility that you might get in there and do it totally opposite of what I said, but you and I both know better. You won't. And once again, we continue this journey here in
America, fuck yeah! So lick my